and welcome to New World Review, the place where absolutely nothing bad will happen. Trust me. Trust me. You've been so loyal to me so far, so good to me with these like and dislike buttons, mostly like buttons, that you tippy-tap like a happy pup. You've been so very kind. I appreciate you all so very much. Ha! Got you! You fools! Why did you trust me? This can only end in your demise. Hi, I'm Grand Line Waifu, here to give you a review of episodes 15 and 16 mid-teen time. So strap in, prepare for spoilers, and feel free to leave that feedback down below for Liam to deal with, because I certainly don't, and I love to make more work for him if and when I can. Episode 15 gave me chills. We got genuine chills, folks. I loved it. Leorio was hijacked, but I don't actually care about that so much. We knew Tonpa was going to trick him. That was very obvious and very clear. It was a very long, amusing way of giving him the same lesson Gon will likely need to learn at some point. For the first time since we started, I legitimately felt bad for Gon as a child up against adults. The moment the man walked out of the bushes had me holding my breath because they baited and switched me. I knew that it had to be something that could happen, but it caught me anyway. The feeling of concern I got watching those butterflies around Gon and Hisoka was the concern of someone who wondered how it could possibly end. Let's reason this out a little. We know for a fact that we have a passionate sociopath who is kind to butterflies, generally relaxed until influenced by something else or someone else, and clearly and calmly enters every situation with a sense of purpose and surety of step. If you think I was talking about Gon, you'd be right, but not as right as the fact that I was describing Hisoka. Both of these characters, being so similar, present a really nice balance for each other. In fact, there is nothing I'm enjoying more about this series than the professional romance between Hisoka and Gon. Gon, strange child that he is, simply steps up to meet his rival with butterflies tied to his finger. At the beginning of that episode, I did wonder whether he was going to be attempting to steal the badge that day, and while it wouldn't have been past Gon, and while he could have attempted by the end of the episode, I got more a sense that he didn't necessarily plan on that. Rather, he wanted to watch Hisoka the way he had watched the bird. Speaking of watching the bird and butterflies, I do wonder whether there's any symbolism in the use of flying animals here. The beauty of the butterflies with both characters and the accompanying quiet, calm soundscapes around both gave me a very clear understanding of the delicacy of movement and the preparation of each character. Gon used the butterflies much the way he uses his fishing rod. It made a lot of sense that he would be very gentle with them as a tool. Comparatively, we saw Hisoka appreciating them for what they were, gently watching them take off into the sky as he had a discussion with his inflatable person. There's always so much to be said about Hisoka. I declare my love for him on a weekly basis. The combination of extreme delicacy with cutthroat and head and neck precision in his attacks are quite wonderful, and looking at his attack style, he's about agility and avoiding being hit rather than going in to smash. We very much have a Loki type character than a Hulk, and I appreciate him for it. It's easy to imagine his childhood mocked and left alone to raise himself. He takes solace in building card houses. One day, a bigger kid in the schoolyard creates a minor earthquake, leading him to paper cut the bully. Unfortunately, that paper cut is across the jugular, resulting in the bully's death, but no one could blame poor, pathetic Hisoka, right? But it's at that moment that he learns his true power, and the passionate storm of flamenco music begins in the background as he learns to throw cards faster and faster. Anyway, while Gon's sociopathy could be related to his dad disappearing, we don't have any indication of why Hisoka wants to be a hunter beyond the obvious fact that he would be good at it. But would he? He doesn't know who he's supposed to be hunting. He's in no rush and has no particular interest in the exam at this point. What does he want? Why is he doing this? This is the first time we haven't really seen him doing anything. Not just standing there not doing anything, I mean literally relaxing and doing nothing. For all my internal expectation that he would belong in a city, he seems very comfortable and at home in nature. And that raises all sorts of questions for me. Where is he from? What did he do before? Why does he want to be a hunter? Which aspect of the exam has given him the most satisfaction? I love having these questions, and when the dying examinee turns up, I have a further question. Why doesn't he just kill the man? He says himself that he only spares those whose deaths would go to waste. Surely it would be faster to kill the man than bother dodging him at all. There's a strange sociopathic logic in denying the man the right to a noble death, I suppose. By the same token, will he spare Gon's life again? Is Gon seen as worthy? Does he remain worthy if he attacks Hisoka a second time, or foolish? Does he see Gon as a worthy opponent? Does he know Gon is after him? If he does, that adds another layer of intrigue, because he's then providing Gon with all the information he needs to beat Hisoka, including the knowledge that his percussionistic teammate is now sleeping in a hole. That will become very relevant, I suspect. And I simply feel bad for the guy following Killua, to be honest. He's not going to last long, but we'll see in episode 16. Oh my. Episode 16. Before we get into it, I want to quickly say that I didn't realize there was a single woman involved in the exam. I suspect, though I wouldn't know without going back through every episode I've seen so far, that she was created purely so they have to find a way to beat her and or balance her abilities against Leorio. I'll just leave that thought there, because it would totally belong in a different series on the creation and destruction of women in anime, along with Neon Genesis Evangelion and Gurren Lagann. If you want it, happy to provide. Not here though. Back to episode 16. This episode was a romp through my emotional range. The minor key that we got for Gon was a beautiful exploration of Gon as loser. It's about time that Gon felt fear. It's about time that Gon felt like the child he is. And we finally got that experience in this episode. Working from the end to the beginning, I have to mention the beautiful use of sound as Gon sat in a tree alone, recovering. The use of silence and music in this episode was absolutely everything, as was the use of landscape and nature. Gon's perspective was very much the perspective we saw this episode, and I adored every minute of it. Hisoka's laughter echoing into the silence showed us the sound of humiliation, anger, and shame that echoed through Gon's mind, and it was superb. It truly was time we got another insight into his mind, and after the episodes where he felt so victorious about being able to catch a bird, we as an audience, I as an audience, let me speak for myself, was so concerned, annoyed, and amused that he hadn't thought his plan through. If I had been watching this series as a younger person than I am, I might not have seen that hole. Though there is a part of me wondering whether it makes sense that a series with such prominent boobage would be specifically for children. Speaking of minds, Hisoka, who knew what number he needed, or bluffed his way through not knowing which number he needed. His art, the drawing of him, standing still, the art style changing in the darkness of the environment and progression of time while he and Gon experienced their own thoughts and emotions, Gon panicking but being forced out of his panic. All of this was such incredible storytelling that I feel this is entirely and absolutely what the medium was created for. The use of sound and movement in this moment is one of the reasons for the manga series to be turned into an anime. Hisoka doesn't move for 2 minutes, but in that time, an incredible change comes over him as he craves and hungers. If I didn't know better, and I do, so I'm saying it, he was aroused. Because that's exactly what's depicted in this moment of absolute stillness, and it's what is alluded to in the shape of his eye, the tongue, the use of lust in the subtitles as a distinct word to blood. I'd be interested to know whether that's a direct translation, actually. Bloodlust in English is a single word. The delineation could be a really subtle, clever way of acknowledging both his bloodlust, his desire to kill, as well as the sexual enjoyment he gets from doing so. It seems as though if we take that observation at face value, he craves bravery. Intelligent bravery, though, not people doing things because they're dangerous. He appreciates Kurapika and Leorio so much that when the time comes for them to stand up to him, despite knowing he could take them on easily, he doesn't. He's fattening his prey. The sound involved in this moment is both magical on those strings and minor in key, and I may be entirely incorrect, but still in keeping with his flamenco? I'm going to need musician commenters to help me on this one, because there's a link between his flamenco and the strings involved, and I think it's more than just the fact that there are strings involved. Either way, the sense of passion and the fact that this growth, as it were, happens at sunrise is wonderful timing. The awakening of his arousal and desperation, and you know he's not going to get it from his next target, but he has to try because he doesn't have a choice. A point worth noting is that, as concerned as I was for Gon for a little while, it didn't escape my notice that he used another as bait too. He used the old man as bait to prepare to take from Hisoka, and so despite trying to protect those he considers friends, he still lacks empathy enough, or is determined enough, I suppose you could say, not to interrupt and try to help the other man. He knows, and says in fact, that Hisoka will attack the next person he sees. He doesn't try to help that man. He simply runs ahead and waits to attack. And yes, we can say that it's okay for him to do that. Those who are a part of the exam know they are risking death to take part. But on the other hand, Gon can see the difference in Hisoka's posture and movement and yet does nothing to try to mitigate that. Gon recognizes in that moment the prey his prey needs and hangs back, just as his predator does, 7,000 times. On that point, it was great that his hunter came back, but I still wonder why his hunter decided to just watch. Yes, he says he was impressed, but to me, it seems like a strange way to treat an exam. Either way, the treatment of angles in this episode gave us the perspective of multiple angles of prey and showed us that the predator is not always who it seems to be. It was an enjoyable artistic meal and I appreciated it for the entire 20 minutes. As a hunter, perhaps those elements of predator and prey is what Hisoka hungers for and why he's taking part in the exam. A prey worth killing. In fact, it's something he says to Gon. He wants nothing more than for Gon to become strong enough to be worth killing. It seems the the point of the exam for him is to use the exam to find those worthy of destruction, rather than complete the exam to be a hunter. If that's the case, poor Gon, who knows at this point undeniably that even if he finishes the hunter exam, it may not be because of his own work. It may be because he was dragged through it by someone undeniably stronger than him. Leaving Gon's psychological issues there, that's all from me. If you enjoyed this video, then please do leave this video a like, share, or subscribe. And if you'd like to join the fun, then please do head over to the Discord server where a wide array of shenaniganry takes place on a daily basis. And finally, please do comment with your thoughts on episodes 15 and 16 of Hunter x Hunter. This has been the New World Review, and I'll see you next time.